Good evening and a warm welcome to all our viewers to an enriching knowledge series on facade and fenestration. Facade and Beyond, presented by Timex Bond ACPHCL, Architectural Ideas Personified. Welcome on board for an interactive discussion on installation and maintenance. Let us explore and find out what goes into making a facade, its design, installation, maintenance, aesthetics, and also know more about the new materials, technologies, and softwares that help make the process more cost effective. Let us gain more insights from our eminent panel with rich experience from the build and design industry. Joining us today for this perceptive session are Mr. Vinod Kundargi, Principal Facade Consultant, Aspect Facade and Engineering Consultants Private Limited. He is also our moderator for today's session. Architect Ajay Nahar, CMD, Nahar Projects. Architect Nitin Kilawala, Director, Group 7 Architects plus Planners Private Limited. Architect Shashi Prabhu, Founder, Shashi Prabhu and Associates. Mr. Jinesh Gala, Director, Timex Bond. I hope we have a very informative and a knowledgeable session. Before we start with the panel discussion, we would like to play a short AV and thereafter Mr. Vinod Kundargi will be taking the lead. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. This is part of IDAC Expo webinar series, episode 3. Today, we will be discussing on the installation and maintenance of facades. On the panel, we have distinguished architects and builders and our ACP manufacturer. We have Shashi Prabhu, sir, from Shashi Prabhu and Associates. We have Nitin Kilawala from G7 Architects. We have Ajay Nahar from Nahar Projects. We have Jinesh Gala from Timex ACP and HPL.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. It's a privilege for me to be a part of this panel where legends like Architect Prabhu and Architect Nitin Kilawala are there. And thank you, Vinod, and thank you, Jinesh, all of you. Thank you, Charishma. So I would like to start the presentation and on what exactly I need to talk. This is a picture, if you see on the cover page, is one of my projects which I have just completed as a developer. It's called Excalibur by Nahar, and this is located at Mahalakshmi. As I go along, I would describe the elements on the facade and the kind of things in general that we look into while talking to our architects and getting the facade designing. So have a look and then you can go on to the next slide. So we see on the facade till the level 5 there is a parking floor, and above that is a residential building. Till level 5 we've used various elements. I'll just first tell you about the elements and then I will tell you how we used it. We've used aluminum composite panel. We've used aluminum fins. We've used GRC grill, which is primarily to cover the 5-floor parking facade with 60% opening. We've used granite and we've used lighting also to give a look and feel to the whole facade. The whole idea were the points which are listed here. First, I would like to elaborate what are the parameters. So architecture, while designing, we need to see the architecture part of it, what the building demands, what the area demands. So we had a small 4-5 story building nearby, and we are right across the bridge at Mahalakshmi. So the the facade had to be very impressive. At the same time, that those buildings were obstructing the view for the first residential floor. So we decided we'll go higher and we'll start a first residential floor after we go up from the neighboring buildings. Therefore, facade designing is got a lot to do with architecture part, where we decide that where we start our first residential floor and how do we cover the face of the building till that level. So GRC was primarily we thought let's use that material. In the center is the car lift, and it had a blank facade. So we thought we'll put the name of the building, and on the blank facade we'll do this aluminum fence treatment. Very important to see the durability of the material. That's my second point, that how long this material will last and how you can clean it. Of course, all these points that are written above are all interrelated. So we had to do sampling, tried and tested against the atmospheric effects, tried and tested against water, see the test and laboratory reports of these materials and see how they behave for a month on the site when installed. So that way we along with a team of architects. So it's not only the architect that is important, it's also the architect, the project management team, the developer, along with the site engineering team. Totally together, we look at every material that we put on the facade of the building. That's how we finalize the choice of the material. Lighting method also very important, because it's not always the type of the light you buy or whether the same kind of light is available, but the light has to be tested in the right time of the day and the night. Means as in like after 6 o'clock when it's sunset until the night when it's giving its luminance to the maximum. So not only the facade, but also the entire building along with the top elevation and the crown features had to be tested at various stages with lighting. So lighting plays a very important role. Versatility with day and night, how the facade behaves in the day as well as in the night with the colors. So colors become an important part of a facade while designing. So we sampled everything. That's a better way of going about everything, is to sample, to try and test and to see it. Installation and workmanship. Here we had a challenge that we had to do the lower facade. We had to complete it while the building construction is in progress, still not hampering the facade. So while doing that, we had to see how much time it takes to keep that ready, as well as no cement or any RCC or any other kind of material that falls from the top on the facade and damages it. So installation has to be planned carefully. Readiness and parallel activity is same thing what I mentioned. Protection of after applying, basically we need to protect the material because the rest of the project is got to get completed. So while at the same time we need to see how that material already applied is not damaged by other people working on the project. Joints and grooves. So now this comes back to architecture. It's very important that any kind of a facade, according to us, is designed with proper set of drawings. It's not like some architect or a developer would sketch on the site, or the vendor gives the material and we give him the facade and start installation. We believe with trial and error from the few years that we've worked, that it's very important that everything is drawn on AutoCAD, and the drawing is also checked with site dimensions, and time to time discussed it with the grooves and the details. Otherwise, without drawings you don't achieve this kind of detail. End termination is important because sometimes at the ends, a sample may look good, but till you don't see the corner detail and how it goes and touches another material, how it behaves at that junction, because all the maximum leakages are because of the end termination details. And dependency on other material, of course, as I said that we've used aluminum composite panel and granite. So Well, while doing that, even those installers are separate. You may have same or different installers, because granite might be given to another agency, GRC is to a second agency, and aluminum composite panel is a third agency. So we need to see how the three of them together, they work and get this completed. Of course, maintenance and visual impact will come when all these things are taken care of. My last slide defines some other projects that I've done. One is a medical center, one is a commercial building, and one is a hospital, where I'm trying to show that the facade designing is not only the external face of the building, but each and every face of the building, including courtyards, where the material that we use it plays a very important, along with paint and the maintenance of the entire area. One is in Rajasthan, so it's a hot weather, and we need to see what materials will go there. So we not use too much of glass facade and aluminum composite panel there, because maintenance becomes a big challenge, and also the heat and cross ventilation plays a major role. So in architecture, you need to see these aspects when you are maintaining these kind of materials in a building. Also, the way there is a commercial building in front of you, which was done maybe 10-15 years back, and this is how it looks even today, because the materials were used properly. The silicon joints were also proper. So till today we don't have leakage in these buildings, because we went deep into the materials and did it with proper architectural drawings. So these are just few examples. Next slide. Great, thank you.
Next would be Nitin sir. Good evening, sir. We wish you to present your PPT for this event.
Yeah. Thank you for having me over here on this interesting topic of facade design. To me, facade is something very simple. You can see this book. So it's a blank cover. It's written by Catherine Eban and whatever may be the title. But the same book, if I put a cover, it changes its entire outlook. So when you go to a bookshelf, when you see so many books, sometimes how you make this book, make it more attractive. And that makes a difference. Similarly, I look at cladding or facade of the building, something, which is some kind of analogy to this book cover. So today I'm going to share few examples done by international masters, and they're all very famous works. And I feel that for the next generation, we have to take this cladding facade to a different level in terms of not only maintenance and look and feel, but in terms of energy conservation, in terms of how you perceive a building from the street. When you go inside, how the same facade looks from inside, etc. So we'll start with the slides. This is Al Bahar Towers in Abu Dhabi, designed by 8 architects. And can you go next? It's based on traditional Islamic shading device called Marshria. This is a very typical Islamic form. So this is how it looks. And each and every panel is solar controlled, So as the sun travels during the day, the panel keeps on changing. And that creates a different drama, not only from outside, but even from inside. Next, please. So this is how you see these panels from inside and from outside. So this is something which is, the panel which are actually triangular in basic profile, but created with fiberglass. It is also programmed to reduce solar gain or even solar glare, both. So this is something which is very interesting, and this is possible even in a climate like Riyadh. They could control the energy, and it creates totally different facade altogether. Next, please. This is a station called King Abdullah. It's in King Abdullah Finance District, again in Riyadh, and it's actually a metro station. You can see from this drawing, there are 6 levels. We are also seeing metro stations coming up in our cities, elevated stations, but keeping the basic station, so it's more of an analog. The entire scheme is totally independent of the main structure, and it is grounded only at ground level. You know, it's fixed only at ground level, and you get this kind of pattern. And this pattern is inspired by sand dunes, as the architect says, and this is designed by Zaha Hadid. There's one detail. Just go next. So this is the entire facade is composition of UHPC, that is ultra high performance cladding. It offers new capabilities actually for structural purposes as well as for aesthetical purpose. Also from inside, this is from outside. From inside, it is all GRG, glass reinforced gypsum, and which is also very well utilized. Next. Now this is a commercial it's a more of public space in Melbourne called Federation Square at Melbourne. Next, please. So you can see from the top, it's all like badminton court kind of buildings, all dead walls. But how you can make these buildings more interesting at ground level, and when or at the street level. So it totally changes the entire dead walls of this complex, and then you can really play with light, you can play with colors, you can play with forms, and so on and so forth. And this is also this kind of facade also gives opportunity for sort of integrating various services which perhaps many times may be used from outside. So this is called Federation Square at Melbourne, designed by Lab Studios in Australia. Next, please. Now, if you've been to, this is one of the Franco Gehry's famous work. It's the Louis Vuitton Center in Paris. You can see the slide on the left corner. When it is constructed, these are the forms. But when you look at the section, it is like any other normal building. Again, it has got basement and 3 or 4 floors above that. But how you envelop the entire building, and that has created a huge drama. Here they used something like 19,000, ductile panels. And just go to the next slide, please. So you totally deliberately distort the form of the building, and it's like a sculpture. So like I showed you a book which is very functionally mounted, but then when you have a jacket, when you have a book cover, it totally changes the perception of that book. It is somewhat on that line. Next. This is in Masdar city in Abu Dhabi, near Abu Dhabi, I would say, and designed by Norman Foster, where the entire city is supposed to be sustainable. And we need not always use glass or aluminum or GRC or that kind of material, but here they have played with clay, which is again locally sourced. And these are typical, again, Islamic patterns having jalis and shaded device. Next, please. This is some detail of that. Yeah. So they are all cladding. If you see the plan of the building, it is absolutely straight line, and this is nothing but a dormitory. This is one of the dormitories in that campus, and it totally gives totally different form. And you don't see normally dormitory buildings, so interestingly sort of composed. And it goes with other buildings. There are so many buildings in the campus, but this really stands out. Next. Now, this is our own T2 terminus at Bombay Airport. So if you look at the structural system, these columns are maybe at 60 feet, 80 feet apart, and there is a roof. But this is totally transformed by cladding of materials next place. And everyone has seen this. Of course, we've never seen in this form, but the finished product, where they combine the skylights, they combine all the services, they've protected the basic steel structure, and it gives totally different form. So this is possible only with this kind of cladding materials and creative use of that. Can you go to the next, please? Yeah. So this is what we see every day. And the lighting, skylights, and the harshness of the steel structure. And of course, it protects the columns which are cladded. Next. This is the last set of slides. Again, Statue of Unity. It's all steel structure inside, but it is only the cladding material. These are all, steel plates. Next, please. So this is a good representative picture that there is a lift shaft in the middle and how the structure is made. But with cladding, like Franco Gehry uses, in his own way, Zahadid may be using it some other way. But this is also possible. This kind of opportunity is also possible in this cladding materials. So this is just to start off that what is the potential and how we are going to see our buildings in a totally different dimension. Rest we'll discuss as we progress. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We had a very wonderful presentation of different facades across the world, and with the different techniques being used to camouflage the structure inside. So the structure remained that of a building, but the facades, what we saw in this presentation, gave us different views of with different materials. Thank you for a wonderful presentation, sir. Sir, next I would request Sashi sir to present, and before that we would request you to give us a few inputs or your ideas from your vast experience.
Yes. Can you hear me, everybody?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. The facade basically, in terms of everybody, means common person, is that whenever he is passing a street, he is looking at the building, he is seeing the elevation of the building. And we architect has to have some kind of our input to make it look beautiful, attractive, also very pleasant to the eyesight. And with this concept, I had done my 50 years of practice now, but I would like to teach my colleagues that let us look architecture from this angle, because architecture has to last much longer. Because we go to church gates, we see Art Deco buildings, they are standing there. Now people are not creating that. Then came a modern era, we started creating modern buildings. So it's a different type of architecture we are following, and different countries have different kind of concept. If you go to the northern side, people have to have a pitch roofs where it snows naturally. The roofscape is different than what the roofscape we have in city like Mumbai. When I'm referring to my projects, I think PPT must be there, but if any PPT comes about, I'll be able to further elaborate. Yeah, what you see is that the famous National Sports Club of India indoor stadium, the concept, which is, to be very honest, is developed by my son, younger son, Atul Prabhu. And then he has an idea of a ship. He said that people going through this Worli side, Annie Besant Road, people should start looking at this building. What is it for? It is basically an indoor stadium. From outer side, it is very difficult to imagine that there is a huge, massive indoor stadium is planned well within these. So it's a glass facade, but there are four sides, such a huge sides, being utilized for the different purposes. The front side has been given for banqueting, restaurants, then another get-together area, club facilities, gymnasium, then makeup rooms, then there is outlet for those who are members of NSCI. They would definitely go into the buying the grocery and so on and so forth. So it is a multi-purpose stadium, very unique in nature. There's a 5,000 capacity with an area about 40,000 square foot, and which could be also used for people to assemble and also view different programs. Many Filmfare award ceremonies and other ceremonies have been conducted. I'm really happy to see that today, there's a different situation. The COVID patients, poor patients have been recovered there. But however, the huge massive space. To the right side, you can see the aerial photograph. One can imagine the size of this, and then located at a strategic position. And the roof is galvanized aluminum and then clipped together. So it has a flexibility with the temperature going up or down. It cannot lose the grip and then open up. It's called Calzip, it's a specific brand, but we have used it, and today, almost about after 10, 12 years, there is not a single drop coming in. Inside, we have to have a complete acoustics, which we have done it, the air conditioning, HVAC, lighting, focus lighting, then dramatic lighting. This is all happening in this one structure. I'm very happy. In those days, this was constructed at the cost of almost 180 crore. Today, it is impossible to construct in 1,000 crore, 1,000 crore above. What is built, and then this is what I always keep on telling my youngsters in my office, that look, plan something which will last longer. This is the front elevation, this inclined column, then Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel station, Vallabhbhai Patel statue is just in front of that. And look at it, this is quite impressive, glass. But you can see the upper side of that, which is the circular area. This glass is so difficult actually, the construction type, because the methodology for this glass is that it is not in the elevation taking a curve, but also in the vertical side also, it has a bend. So imagine each glass piece has a different curve, and which I have to manage. End of the day, it should look neat, clean, and at the same time it's facing the seaside. The water should not trickle in. So very tough job, but it was done successfully. I'm really proud of the contractor who did this. So this is one of the structure I'm always proud of, and then it is really hosting so many programs, including the recovery of the patient today in today's COVID situation. However, this is one of my projects, and then I always be showing to people, and then we are creating similar type of structures. People started demanding that you try to do something, but we have to do the evaluation, the sustainability while spending the money, how you are going to recover and how you are going to use it. This is what the architects I am going to always tell my boys. Think twice how you are going to maintain, think twice how you are going to service it, and then how you are going to use it. Next. This is Garwari Clubhouse. This is my younger son's idea. He said, Daddy, I would like to do something different in copper. I said, okay, try to do it. Then he used it, actually this is nothing but aluminum sheets, and they are bent in a different way. And to me, it's a modern structure. Now this clubhouse is a storied building. When I go to the other structure, which is a hall, this is clubhouse. And clubhouse to be designed in a vertical manner, you have to think differently. We could not think anything other than this, and then people liked it. Those who are members, they also appreciate, because there is hardly any 50 feet margin to appreciation space, what you call it, for any building. There is hardly anything. So, but this has taken its own shape, and then people admire it. People visit regularly. Now, because of pandemic, people are not being allowed to go, but it is one of the important structure for me. Next to that is a renowned Wankhede Stadium, where my office is. But I like this structure, therefore I thought I will try to bring it before all of us. This is how it looks in the evening. And look at that, which was looking copper in the evening with the lighting, it started looking reddish. And this is a wonderful photograph taken by not me, but someone else, and then forwarded to me. But I feel proud that, yes, this is what we are able to create, and people are happy. Next. Oh, this is another structure at Bandra, because see, people must be going. Those who are also with me here, they may be member here. This is typically designed on a British type of era, where people should feel that this is a basically cricket ground, and it's the main pavilion, which has everything there, including bar, sit-out area, restaurants, health club, you name it, whatever is required by the club has been provided. And then Vijay Shirke, they did the construction work, and we were the architect, and then we meticulously worked. There is a car park of 300 car parking. Oh, I forgot to say about NSCI Dome. There we have about 800 car parks. Car parking is a basic issue, and then we have to address that for the public building.
Next, I would like to invite Jinesh Gala from Timex ACP and HPL panels. Jinesh, please go ahead with your presentation.
So much, Vinod sir. And first of all, I would like to thank everyone. I'm apparently youngest here on the panel, and it's a privilege for me to be among you all. And I have gone through all the presentations that you all have given, and in such a short span of time, I got to learn a lot from you all, and I'm inspired again for the same. As we spoke today, that we are speaking about facade, and mainly about installation and maintenance of facade. I would like to speak on it from the product's point of view. We are manufacturers of two of the most widely used facade products in India, that is ACP and HPL. Moving ahead with installation, I believe that when it comes to any facade product, three key factors play a very big role. One is time, second is cost, third is method. When I talk about time to how fast can that product be installed whenever the facade work is going on. If we take an approx size of 1.2 meter width by 2 meter height panel, ACP and HPL can be installed in 60 panels per day, and glass can be installed like 50 panels per day. These three are the widely used products in India right now. So whenever I speak with my research team about developing new products and what's coming new in the facade industry of India, I always prefer products that are, that can be installed fast. Because as we know, the faster the work is done, faster the promoter or the builder can hand over the project to its customers, and it's beneficial for them as well. Second is cost. Here I've tried to portray a cost comparison about the installation cost. As you can see, there are various facade products that I've mentioned. There are product cost also of the same, and the installation cost. Like I mentioned, time is important. Cost is also very important, as we all know. And some products like ACP, HPL, exterior tiles, they cost at a reasonable price and give a very aesthetic look. And again, like I would always prefer to, we keep our R&D department always works on getting new and new products, new designs. So again, we always keep the cost of the product in mind, where we want the masses to use our products. After that is types of installation. Basically the method of the way we install. Here there are basically two major systems that are used widely in India. First is closed joint system. This is a very known method for everyone, and basically we first make a tray, fix ACP with screws and fill silicons in the gaps. And I believe this is the most widely used installation system right now. Second is open joint system. Open joint system, basically the major difference is that there is no silicon in this type of installation. We don't use silicon, and the panels are hooked on SS screws. These designs that I've just shown are in terms of installing ACP. Now, talking about parametric designs, now this has been in the talks recently. Parametric design is basically a paradigm in design where the relationship between the elements is used, product elements, to make and inform the design of complex geometrics and structures. So again, I would like the facade products to be, flexible enough that they can be able to give, we can give them different kind of shapes to attain this such complex designs. And I'm glad that products like ACP, HPL are able to, be given or can be fabricated in shapes and designs like these. Post installation, I would like to discuss on maintenance. As you can see the picture that I've shown here, that how important maintenance of any facade is and what happens if the maintenance is ignored. Usually in India, I've seen, especially in B and C towns, is that people usually don't really pay attention to maintenance. And that is the reason the entire facade becomes dull. I believe maintenance has to be a very crucial part of any building. Now, to give an importance to the maintenance, how important it is, I would like to discuss case study of world's biggest, tallest building, that is Burj Khalifa in Dubai. It is as we all know, that it is 830 meters high and has 24,830 windows, which is a very high number. And a fun fact is that when this building is cleaned, it requires team of 36 people and needs 3 months to wash it. Just the maintenance of this one building requires 3 months to wash all the windows. That is around 17,000 hours of work, which is huge. And also one funny part is that once they start from top to bottom, it takes 3 months. And once they've finished the job, they again start from the top, because the top windows have again, have to be maintained. And such is the case with all the tallest buildings and all the iconic buildings in the world, that maintenance of these buildings is a very big and crucial part. And I would, want same thing to be happening in our country, that most of the buildings should be maintained to maintain its, facade value. And that design should be, to make sure it looks fresh and nice. Also, maintenance is not just about, whenever I talk about maintenance with anyone or layman, he would say the maintenance means cleaning the windows or any other facade products. But it is not only that, it is more, it also involves inspection of so many other things that I've mentioned here, like damaged glass or windows, there are rust marks, then, there can be cracks in the concrete, rusted window frames, and so many. If there are any signages, the bulbs and the light signs, solar panels, if they have been installed, there's so many other things that you have to inspect. So maintenance along with inspection is what I believe. And I would really, and I'm seeing the change. I'm seeing that major cities, all the A-grade cities in Mumbai, and all the good buildings are being maintained, and every big tower or big good building has proper systems where all the recent techniques of maintaining it are used. So I'm really happy to see that, because me being in the facade industry, I would always want our buildings to shine and look good. So yes, this is more about from my side. Thank you.
Can I start with Nitin sir first?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Sir, when you're designing a facade in the earlier stages, like what factors are considered in viewing the maintainability of the facades?
See, to me, maintenance has a lot to do with the workmanship also. So you may be having a fantastic product, but if it is not executed properly, and that again goes back to the detailing and appropriateness of the material, etc. So it's not just for any aspect of building design. Maintenance is very important, and this we have been talking since ages, that whenever a client comes, they always say that it should be easy to maintain. So in one line, everything covers. So coming back to facade specifically, it is the appropriateness of the material which is used, and but in the way things are, facade will give totally different dimension to the building, and that is something which is very important, and it's a recent trend, maybe during the last decade. So how we take it forward in terms of not only aesthetics or maintenance, but the overall form of the building, and how you perceive the building, how you would like to give certain importance or certain details, etc. So maintenance is something which is inherent to me. Even it's small plaster, a simple plastered wall, if plaster is done properly, to at the same time you use a very expensive material, and if there's something goes wrong in joinery, then the entire purpose is defeated.
So continuing with the same question, can I ask Ajay sir, you are an architect as well as a builder. So what kind of a brief or emphasis is given by you when you discuss or propose your projects with the architects and designers with respect to our installation and maintenance of facades?
Yes. See, moreover with the architect, I think I discuss it with my project team about the maintenance and the aspects that are post the completion of the project. It's very important because as developers, we are in the project for maybe at least a year once the architecture of the building is complete, and when the architect doesn't come on a daily basis and have a look at those things, and the vendor also has almost finished and handed over and taken his last payment and gone. In India especially, it becomes a big challenge because of the monsoon, and with the rains and all, things get opened up, and it's never the same what you had perceived the project initially. And so what happens is, fine, even if we make strict purchase orders and work orders and AMC contracts with our vendors, and keep a strict protocol with paperwork, there are times and they would come and give us service, because in this country, everyone, when they sell their product, they tell you, okay, we'll give you a good after sales service, and maybe most of them do also. But it's not that the after sales service is always what we are looking at. As a developer, I see it very differently. I go back to the main point. First of all, is the risk involved to create beautiful facades. So whenever we want to create something like what Nitin sir showed, or what Shashi Prabhu sir showed us, it becomes very challenging, because an architect may design it, but the facility team and the vendor team may not be able to maintain it. Jinesh also showed some beautiful presentations on Selfridges in Birmingham and Burj Khalifa. And of course, I travel, so I look at these things and I want to put it in a part of the project. But what happens in the ground reality, what is main thing is the insurance of the labor. So what he said that, when the panels are being washed, it takes 3 months to do it. I had one small light fitting, which I want to share the experience, which cost 6,000 rupees of replacement, but the person who's going to hang on the gondola and he's going to replace that is asking for 60,000 rupees. So 6,000 is the cost of my light fitting for the LED strip, and 60,000 is the cost of my labor which I'm going to use to change it. This is the main reason why facades in India, even if beautifully designed, are not able to maintain, because the facility team and the developer team later on cannot afford the cost of replacement. So they leave things as it is for cleaning of the facade as well as maintaining the lighting. So this is a common problem. And when I go back to the root cause, it's actually the insurance first, because when a person is not insured, and in this country, when you don't get proper insurance, money back if there is a life risk when you're maintaining such things. Then the laborers try to shy out from this job, and they don't want to do small jobs like this because they feel that you're not going to get anything much from it, but you're going to risk your life majorly to it. So this is one big problem which has to be solved originally also. So if there is a method while installing or while maintaining the facade for 2-3 years, if the developer and the architect sit together along with the team of vendors who come, and architects help the developers to make a contract for at least 3 years to maintain the facade for every element and every material that is put on the facade, because sometimes developers don't know whether they have to take such kind of AMC contract. It's very important that if this is done at that time, you spend how much ever time you spend in designing, at least you spend 50% of the time in thinking how you're going to keep that for 5 years at least. And I think then it will be more smoother for every material that we use. So it's a learning exercise for us. When we are doing our buildings, time to time we learn these things, and then we try to put it in our work orders, purchase orders, and maintenance contracts.
So you are an architect and builder, as I said. You do have your projects team and your maintenance team, the facility management team. How does the transition goes on?
Yeah, so when it's very important to first of all try to keep the same people involved in the project, and at least if not the same, but the people are overlapped in the project. So at least when the transition comes into the facility team, don't keep the full team as it is a new team, because even if they train or they give a user manual or they give shop drawings or as-built drawings, they don't know the cost of the product, and the facility team are not educated enough to know the replacement cost of the product, and that is usually high given by the vendors because they feel that the facility team does not know too much what the construction team needed. So you need to overlap. What we do is we overlap a certain amount of team members from our engineering team, and we put them into the facility team for at least a year, so they have understanding and they take over also easily, and then the facility team understands it and then completes the job. Otherwise the facility team is totally lost with the new aspect because it takes time for them to absorb the various
Are we at an
nature of the
advantage? Are we at an advantage when you have both the teams with you?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, all my people become all rounders right from day one. Everyone is a facility person, and everyone becomes an engineer, and everyone
Engineer.
becomes a supervisor. So that is an advantage. And then WhatsApp helps us to monitor groups where we put photographs, and I'm on it, and then I'm hands on those things which are going on, and immediately I can assign people wherever I'm sitting, whichever part of the world. I can assign people to get the job completed. So the team is never lost. The problems happen when the maintenance team is totally lost and they are clueless and they do the whole exercise right from beginning.
So as you told, you're on WhatsApp and other latest softwares wherein we can give real-time solutions. Taking this forward, I would like to ask Shashi sir, how does these new softwares and new real-time softwares help us in designing, as well as to check on the installability of the facade and maintenance of facade?
See, we have to give a manual to our respective client. We do not, unfortunately, unfortunately rather, we don't work for the developers. And then I did residential buildings way away in 70s and early 80s. And subsequently, we are, ours has tried to glue down the school buildings, educational buildings, hospital buildings for a government, semi-government and institutions. But the maintenance is something very important factor Mr. Nahar is addressing, which I realized that we leave it and give it to the client, and then ultimately how it is maintained, good or bad, that is the final impression for the people. So there has to be SOP, there has to be clear guideline for the client to look after the building and maintain it. Where we stay, why we try to keep our building clean, good, and all the time, shining, whatever it is. The similar thing, people should try to do that. And then we are working for the local authorities. So I made it a rule in my office that when you construct a building and hand it over, you should give a maintenance manual, and that should be strictly adhered. And then it is over a period people may be ignoring. But in Mumbai, like situation where it rains badly, mosque is something which is dangerous thing, which really gets into the building and then spoil the glory of the building. Because the shine which you do earlier, for example, ACP cladding, over a period, I have seen that, now you showed this aluminum cladding, which is fantastic. But earlier we used to put the sealants, and then the crow is to eat away that sealant, and it is to be profuse leakage in the building. Over a people, they are learning by doing the mistakes, and that's the way it is. We architects also not 100% proof. At any age, after any number of experience years, we are learning. It's a learning process. So students also, at the level of students, the recently graduated architects, the practicing architects, they should keep their mind open and then try to understand that there is something emerging in the world, and with the experience people are trying to put forward, these are the mistakes and blunders we have done. Please do not try to imitate. This is what the architects have to do. And then detailing, one has to learn the detailing. Detailing is the basic thing for the architects. You plan something, you do fantasy, and then subsequently you are not able to maintain. That's really pathetic, which I see of late in Mumbai. The cities like, which are inside, which are not really hit by the monsoon and the rain, there the elevation look really fresh. And the people do say that people in Delhi look different than buildings in Mumbai. Mumbai has a range, and as you rightly said, multi-storied building. Burj Khalifa, you have given the example. Look at the king there, the prince there, himself look after that, and then you see to that it is clean. I am practicing in Dubai, and nothing, no nonsense is permitted, to be very honest. So the local authorities are very strict. Here, local authorities, they don't bother. They are more keen of giving the FSI floor space, how 1 inch extra, no ledge, no chhaja, no protrusion. This is something absurd going on. But people have misused it also. So from their side, they said you try to give some kind of ledge. People try to increase the width of the building and reshape the wall, try to erect the wall on the top of chhaja, etc. This has happened. Unfortunate part. But slowly and gradually people will realize this. FSI is not important, life of the building is important. And I'm really would like to address one of the issues which I'm handling now, that the insurance of the building, where people aren't aware what is the life limit in the dwelling where you are staying. So we are working on that, and there are hundreds of architects will be working. And this is a big task for everyone's living in our city, how to maintain and then give the life to the building and do correct measures at the right time. This is what my submission is.
So rightly said, we should have SOPs and maintenance manuals. Once the project team finishes, who are the vendors, gives hands over the, yes.
Yes, we do that.
Yes, sir. Nitin sir, you wanted to add on something?
And like you, there are hundreds of companies, to be honest. And if they should come forward and then they should take over. This is like a, contractor will do the construction, the maintenance guy will maintain it. This is how SOP we try to put in, and then we'll make it to happen. Because in the administration line, we'll request corporation or any authority to impose, not imposition, but it is a self-discipline. As a matter of fact, system. And if system works, we'll get city looking really bright, clean, and green.
Nitin sir wanted to add something.
Shashiji, you have done a lot of buildings for authorities, as you are mentioning. But I think there is some kind of a mindset. I showed you, a few slides of this T2 airport, and just 250 meters away, we have got a metro station called Airport Station. Now, both are brand new buildings. But why this kind of a disconnect with the projects. And the biggest cause is this L1 system. They feel that by giving the lowest tender, they have achieved so many things, but that is not really so. And we have been discussing this only, that when it is not just maintenance of during warranty period, it is maintenance forever we are talking about.
Sure.
Now, Mr. Nahar is a private developer, he can have some control. But most of our cement, steel, and all the building product materials are used in government projects these days, where we don't see any of this kind of awareness. So how cladding material is just one such material which is seen, exponentially. But we need to perhaps
Sir,
tell
my
our
next question,
authorities or change.
sir, my next question comes on the same lines to Nitin sir. Sir, I just wanted to know what kind of an emphasis you give on maintenance and aesthetics. Now, as you're telling, you gave examples of two buildings, the airport and the metro station, the airport metro station. There is a lot of difference in the aesthetics there. Aesthetics that along with comes with a cost. So when you design projects, how much of emphasis is given, or is there a trade-off between the aesthetics and the budget? Or the maintainability also, because maintenance also comes with a budget.
Yeah, I think everything goes together. You have to think in all dimensions. It is not just the maintenance or not just the aesthetics. Aesthetics outcome of whatever you have designed,
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, even with due respect to our builder friends, that same builder is constructing two projects. Maybe one in Kandivali, other one is in Kafparit. This total different mindset. As a matter of fact, where you feel that maintenance is likely to be a little problematic, you should use the best material with best workmanship. I think that is more important. And cost is actually, it's a trade-off, in overall period, lifespan of a building. We always design for at least 50, 60, 70 years. So that can be taken care. And Shashiji already mentioned that NSAI dome, which was costing 100 crores, would cost today 1,000 crores.
Yes.
So what is important is money well spent. And then everything follows in line.
Yeah, as I just go back on the SOPs and the maintenance manuals and other discussion what we had, I would like to ask Jinesh, and since he's a product manufacturer, like what inputs or what suggestions or manuals does he provide to his end users while selling a product? Let us go one step backward from where the product comes and where it is getting installed and where it is getting maintained. Jinesh, could you just unmute yourself?
Whenever we are in talks with our customers, we often discuss the details they require. For example, we discuss with them about the installation methods, which I had showed in my presentation also. Because there are many curious customers or developers who do ask us that, how should we install the ACP or HPL? How should we go about it? So we give them concept details about it. Secondly, once the installation part is done, we also tell them about the product features, like, how the ACP has to be routed. If you want to route it at 90 degrees, how do we do it with, what kind of routing machines and everything. And secondly, how do we maintain those? If someone is using ACP, how do we maintain it? Because I have seen some problems where people have used some really hard chemicals to clean the surface, where only hot water or mild solution had to be used. So we often tell them everything. Many a times people do not remove the protective films for a long period of time. We often do mention it, that it has to be removed within 45 days. But these are small things that we make sure that all our sales team and everyone do guide our customers to make sure and educate them, basically. Yes.
Sashi sir, I just wanted to ask you one more thing, like different kinds of materials, how it is maintained, all those things. Over the experience of how many years you have, what are your findings like as we move ahead? The different kinds of materials and their maintenance. What are the findings and what are the study we arrive at?
To be blunt, I will say that simple plaster will really make people happy. But we architects, would like to show the building and then make a building something different and look modern. Modern is something, which takes you away from the basics. Modern could be design also, facade we are also designing, but this should be maintainable. The small joint you are showing, detail you are showing, that educate everybody. The young architects should understand. Small thing which matters a lot. If the small thing happens in a building also, small crack if you see in a column, wherever it is, if you just ignore it, it's going to open up. And that's a pendulum box today. But by and large, we should follow SOP, and then we should try to make a document, and we should go to the School of Architecture. Today, the freshers come to me or my office or Nitin's office. We'll find that we have to tell them the basics. If the basics are good, when we got educated, we were working simultaneously. So we were learning, that is, school, as well as take a practical experience. The practical experience, today we don't find the kids. So that has to come in the architecture. We architects, we are not competing each other anymore now. Me, with my age, my children are there, and then we don't want to compete and grab somebody's job. We should rather concentrate on our job and try to give the best to the client. And the end of the day, whichever may be the client, we would like to control the cost. And it is, we should do the detailing to the maximum possible so the extra doesn't come up. And the extra really kill you because the client budget for X and it can't be X multiplied by something. So this is what learning process, which I learned in my 50 years. And then I'm still learning. So people should try to take a clue from these. Then be a more, Nitin also will agree, that try to be precise and then good at detailing. Because I don't know the faculty, I don't want to blame anybody, but these children who are taking the architecture courses, they should be taught detailing more than the fantasy of planning. Planning has to be there, of course. And the planning doesn't come automatically. We have a grid system. You will also agree, I will also agree. If you miss the grid, then you are mocking yourself. In the sense, whole thing goes for a toss. Because grid, which is the basic thing we have been taught, and if you don't follow the grid, then once you go out of the grid, then the mess starts. And therefore, the straight, clean facade will look always good for years to come. This is my personal feeling. It not sometimes is overruled by the office. They do it, but as far as I'm concerned, I will always like the building which has got straight vertical and horizontal, which is the elevation, which will be admired by everybody for all years to come. This is my real humble submission.
Nitin sir, continuing on this, as sir was telling, it has to be simple. Even plaster can be a better material with the groove lines, all those things. How do you see in reducing the cost of maintenance with still following the design aspects?
Yeah, so you have to optimize at every level.
Reducing the cost of maintenance. It is for Nitin, is it?
Yes, sir. For Nitin, sir.
Yeah. Continuing with the same argument which Shashi is making. See, the topic for today is cladding and its maintenance. But what goes behind cladding? Even that is to be maintained, no?
Maintained.
Whether it is AC ducts or electrical cables or glass facade windows, etc., which you need to clean, so on and so forth. So how to reach there, how to maintain that, that also has to be detailed out.
Yes.
And that's why I'm repeating same thing, that even something which you don't see it, like plumbing pipes you don't see, AC ducts you don't see, but it has to be executed absolutely in perfect manner. That itself will resolve a lot of your maintenance issues. And there are certain aspects, see, maintenance of a car and maintenance of building, there are two different things. That's something which you can replace. Like if there's a crack in RCC member, so it's sometimes it's very difficult to maintain or difficult to reach out to. So that's why we have to have something which is very well executed. Another biggest advantage of cladding material is you cannot go wrong in execution by and large. See, your plaster may be a little wavy or your RCC formwork may be a little wonky sometimes. But if you have to use a straight glass facade or straight aluminum panel on a frame which is again lightweight, so it has to be straight. If it is not straight, then you won't be able to fix it. So there are inherent advantages also. So it is not just, as I mentioned, that maintenance of the facade per se, but what goes behind the facade. And you have to optimize, you have to make the perfect decision for appropriateness of the material. And workmanship should be perfect. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Sir, continuing the same thing with Ajay, sir. When you look at the life cycle costing of a project, starting from your design till until the building is being maintained, are the costs for this when we talk about installation and maintenance of building facade, we have this building maintenance units for the building access as well as maintenance. As you are explaining that to have a simple bulb of 6,000 to be fixed, they were asking for a price of 60,000 rupees. So how are these things budgeted? They are budgeted at the initial stages of the project?
See, they're not exactly budgeted, but as a developer and with experience, you know that all these things cost, and there are some costs which will come up anytime. I think the right attitude is very important when you construct a building or when you have planned to go from a plastered surface into a facade. I think you know what you are entering into. It's like from a bachelor's life, when you are entering marriage, you know what you are getting into, right? So till you know that you are getting into something, you're not going to be accepting the changes that you are going to encounter. So that's the right attitude for it. So if you design a beautiful facade and you are going to cross across that building and it's a landmark project, and if it's not lit and you are going to switch off the electricity every night thinking that the electricity bill will be high for sorry to mention, but if things like NSCI Club are going to be designed so beautifully but not lit in the night, there is no point of showing the architecture. And the right people, the right club members, the right people behind it, if they are not getting the support from the government, like for example having an electricity cost lower for certain public buildings or certain capacity buildings, then the developer or the promoter are not motivated to keep that on. So it's not only that it ends as a developer and when you hand over, it's beyond that for maybe years, for 10 years, for 20 years. If you don't have a proper feedback of how you're going to maintain the facade, even from the people, I think how sir mentioned that a book is recognized by a cover. I also feel that if the people who around your project or who look at your project, who pass by daily your project, if they don't appreciate it, then for that population you're not even supposed to put off for a certain thing on your project. So it's what your environment demands. And as a developer, I always look at that aspect. So these costs are very negligible. Actually, it's the overall time period. It's same like facility management. If you think about how many watchmen and how many security and how many cleaners are going to be in the building inside to clean it, you're not going to be working on getting nice materials installed. So it's with the same attitude you have to design the exterior facade of a building.
Coming to the same material, this one, I would like to ask Jinesh, how does the codes, as Ajay sir was telling about, government should come out with support for public institution buildings where with giving a reduced tariff for power. So, Jinesh, how does the codes help in coming out with new material or developing new products?
Definitely, sir. Codes play a big role because we currently do not have a manual for for general public's access that knows how to maintain what will happen with their building in future. There's so many. I've seen when if someone is misguided, they use cheaper material silicon. A normal product like silicon can also ruin the entire facade if it starts staining after 1 or 2 seasons cross. So that is when we also educate our customers to use only high performance silicons, like for example Dow Corning 991. It's a non-staining high performance silicons. It may cost a little more, but your entire facade will go, it'll be good for a very long period of time. So such codes should be there, and more highlights on them should be done. In fact, I am also happy that Indian standards have taken products like ACP specifically and have released their standards of quality, and such data has to be there out there for general public.
Okay, as we conclude this session, I would request Ajay sir to give vote of thanks to all the participants.
Uh, Thank you all. It was a great discussion. I think it's never enough the time that we all are discussing on such topics, but definitely in the near future, when we have more chances to discuss and elaborate, it will be a great thing, and we can make an SOP for the government, for the vendors, for the entire fraternity, and pass it on with all our experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinod sir, for everything.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you to our eminent panels for the colossal knowledge shared this evening. A special thanks to our sponsor, Timex Bond, ACP HPL. We thank our audience that have shown support and tuned in this evening. Until we meet again, stay safe and gear up for the new normal. Thank you.